Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies, and we're down on episode 3 of the new Goosebumps series, entitled, and if you remember from years before, The Cuckoo Clock of Doom. And if they were going to write a completely different book, why didn't they just change the title? Because it is...
Yeah, it's not Goosebumps.
It's absolutely nothing.
No.
Except for the cuckoo clock. But they don't even.
But
show.
even the cuckoo clock fucking sucks because
Not that good.
the bird inside it is just generic, like you got it out of a Goodwill.
Oh well, that's not right. You know that's not right. Cut it out.
I mean, no, not Goodwill. A Michael's craft store or something. Like it just looks so generic, and so like even the cuckoo clock itself sucks. Not even to mention everything else in this fucking shitty episode.
This is a lot shorter than the other ones, and it actually goes pretty fast. Thank God.
Yeah, and so this is the it's not Cuckoo Clock of Doom at all. It is the Groundhog Day ripoff / doppelganger story starring the girly boy and
James,
the girly boy, and so it's all about at the stupid Halloween party.
He go back to that.
He bumps against the clock and the cuckoo, and he makes it so that every time the party happens, well then, next thing you know it, he's back at before the party started, and so he has to relive the party over and over again for about 10 minutes of the episode. And there's lots of cringe things, like there's a pandemic nurse at the party, a pandemic nurse costume. That was cringeworthy, agenda bullshit. And let's see what
anybody would want to see that.
Let's see what else.
You want to be reminded about that.
It's also plagiarizing the Fear Street trilogy from Netflix. If you guys don't remember, in the Fear Street thing, you had the main lesbian, the trash character who no one liked, and she had an ex-partner named Sam, and it was like, who's Sam? Is that a guy on the football team? Oh no, it's actually a girl.
She was a cheerleader, I think, too, and
well,
that's why we were thinking it was the football team.
They do the same fucking thing in this, where the girly boy has a crush named Sam. And you're like, who's Sam? Oh, it's a boy!
And he likes soccer.
Isn't that convenient? Isn't that a little convenient, Safi?
Which this is a reminder of something else for me, but I can't think of it.
Groundhog Day.
Well, yeah, it is. That's right. We just saw that. And he did, every time he did it over, he memorized a detail or something.
And he does the exact same thing in this episode.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The only difference
Great writing!
The only difference is between this and anything else. Yeah, a doppelganger, you know what a doppelganger is. It's an opposite person from you who has the very worst.
Yeah, so then all he has to do is walk up to the clock at the party and then maneuver the stuff inside it, and it stops. So then he can leave. But the twist is that he has doppelgangers, and they all take him hostage, and it's to represent all the times that he traveled back in time at the party.
Right.
And again, this is nothing like the book at all. It's nothing like the story. It's complete trash. It's miserable, pathetic shit. And it's the worst. This is the worst one so far. Like, I can't believe that they raped the Cuckoo Clock of Doom story the way they did with this fucking episode.
Well, I don't think they should have been allowed to
no, I
have
don't,
the titles.
I don't either. I think that, like, it's just shitty that, like, these people, because they have money, that they were able to get the rights to these stories and then rape them over and over again like they did in this show.
What they should have done is, it all has the same cast of characters. Each thing is going to happen to a character in the group. And so it should have been renamed something else.
Yeah, call it a Gen Z show that nobody wants to watch.
Well, whatever. It's kind of like an American Horror Story thing where it's in chapters. So, right, because each episode is a chapter that includes a different character.
Well, that's what...
naming it after these books from the Goosebumps series, but have no resemblance to any of them.
That is what's funny, though, is that this is actually, like, a lot more similar to, like, an American Horror Story season than a Goosebumps.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it feels... This is how American Horror Story really should be, like, in terms of, plot structure and, stories for different characters.
Yeah.
But it's complete trash. It's awful, horrible. So let's move on.
I think they should be sued.
I know.
I don't know if they can do that or not, because maybe there's a contract thing that allowed them to take the names, but I don't agree with that at all.
And then,
I don't think they should have been allowed to do that.
It was funny, last video I was like, I can't wait to see how they mishandle the whole Tara character, Tara the Terrible, his sister, and also a character that R.L. Stine named after a fan, a little girl named Tara. She asked R.L. Stine, hey, can I be a character in a book you write? And he was like, sure. And he made her in Cuckoo Clock of Doom. Well, there is no Tara in this episode. There is no time travel where he ages backwards. There's none of that at all. It's just a complete...
Oh, it's a new story.
Different thing that nobody wanted, nobody asked for, and it's garbage. It's...
What if they would have done this with other... Maybe they have. If you know of something that something similar
Halloween,
like this has happened.
Halloween Ends.
Where they just take the name of... What does that mean?
Oh, no. Okay, so where were you, Safi?
I just don't know how they could take the name of an original piece of work and slap it onto something else. And then it's completely different to me. It's like you're plagiarizing the name to get people to watch it.
Yeah. But
then it bears no resemblance to the original. And I just don't know how that can be legal.
It really is the worst. It is the worst one out of the three so far, but they're all so bad that they're all, this, my grade for this episode is another fuck you. This is a double fuck you because, I really like the Cuckoo Clock of Doom, and I even did a sequel for it on here, and it was a lot better than this episode, so, and so next up in the episode, I guess we can, go through a little bit more of this awful episode.
Well, there's about 20, who knows if it's probably, wouldn't you say about 20?
I guess.
They call them duplicates, or dupes, which is actually a good name for them, running around and impersonating him, and nobody knows it. The first one bothers Isaiah's girlfriend, the bully girl.
No, but also the haunted mask girl, she defeats one of them, and she starts going around defeating all of them, and
with her baseball bat.
And she's still good actress.
And she tells the other two, and they say, all of our things, what's going on, they must be linked. And so
so they start investigating.
While the duplicates are going around doing bad things. It
just sucks. And then they get lured into a trap by the doppelgangers. And here was the hilarious part. So, at this Cuckoo Clock of Doom episode, supposedly, they start ripping off Stay Out of the Basement, where, the doppelgangers are trying to convince the characters that they're the real girly boy. And it's like, oh, who's the real one? Oh, is it that one? Is it that one? It's like, wow. You're putting a Stay Out of the Basement moment in the middle of Cuckoo Clock of Doom. Wow, that's really creative that you just spliced parts from stories together like a shitty scrapbook. Like, wow. Like, I'm convinced with this episode, the writer's so retarded that he didn't even read the book. He just read the synopsis on the back of the book and said, oh, okay, I'm going to kind of take inspiration from this story to write my cool doppelganger story that nobody bought.
I don't get that because I don't think it resembles it at all. So
no.
I don't know. It's just the name. The Cuckoo Clock. And they had the cuckoo clock in the first episode, which has nothing to do with the cuckoo clock of doom. Even that episode, the one on that they made up, has nothing to do with it. They go back to the same house for every episode. At least they have so far.
Yeah.
And they had a cuckoo clock in it.
Yeah.
And they had the mask in it that was in the basement. Well, anyway, what happened was they had captured the doppelgangers did. They had captured the real James, and they had thrown him down into a big rocky pit. And it kind of reminded me of that Batman movie where he has to keep trying to climb out of the pit, although that was a much deeper, steeper climb, and he was badly injured too. But this guy wasn't, but he kept trying to get out over and over, and they managed to entice those three, the Isaiah, the haunted mask, the girl who's Isabella, and the girl who's Isaiah's best friend, I keep forgetting her name, and the neighbor. All three of them, they trapped them into going in there, and then they're all going against them, and they don't know and so they managed to get a couple, and then they think, oh, there's James. He made it. They see him. They didn't know he was in this trap, and so then they have to figure out between the two, and there's another fight, and the guy Isaiah figures out which one by hook and crook, I don't know. And then anyway, it ends up where Isaiah ends up in the pit with James, and the two girls, I guess they ran off somewhere and hid. And so anyway, they all get out, and after they smash all the doppelgangers they could with the baseball bat and other things. And then what happens?
Well,
There's two things.
the subplot with Justin Long, he starts to act weird again at the house, and he starts eating worms with cocoa powder, which this was cringeworthy too, because, you know, it's sad. Justin Long is doing such a good job with this shitty ass script, but they gave him CGI worms. And so the whole time I was watching it, I was like, you know, this really isn't gross, because you can just tell that it's CGI worms. Like, it's not gross if you know that it's computer generated. Like, it's fake. It's phony. And then he's visited by the counselor guy, and then later on at the end of the episode, one of the doppelgangers shows up and he says, not all of us got fucked up. And he hands him an empty box that's supposed to have Slappy in it. And then Justin Long gets mad and he kills the doppelganger. And that's the end of the episode. So, again, I give this a double fuck you. I think it's disgusting what they've done with this series. I think it's weird. It's like, how could anybody in the whole Goosebumps fandom be okay with this, like, at all? Like, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know how it could be legal.
Well, they have the rights, you know. They bought the rights, and so.
But that's just the name. It's just, how could they take the name and make a completely different story that bears no resemblance? I mean, that one in particular.
I know.
Bears absolutely no resemblance.
But you said it was clever, though. Which is hilarious, because it's like, no, it's really not clever for them to fuck up the story so badly.
Well, it's clever in the fact that if you have, like for the Groundhog Day movie, if they had made, God, I don't know how many times he did it, they made 100 versions of Bill Murray.
It's really not, because
around town.
It's really not, because, like, I already talked about that before. And there's been other time travel things, like just even with, you know, actually, the Back to the Future video game, at the end of the Back to the Future video game, there are a bunch of Marty clones at the very end, actually. So that's not original at all. That's just trash. See, Marty. That's the end of the Back to the Future game. And that game is really, really good. It's a 10 out of 10 game. It's a lot better than this trash. So, there you go. So, get fucked, Disney Plus. Get fucked.
So, I give it an F too. I just don't like this. I'll never watch these again.
Yeah. No way.
I'd be interested to see. I can't wait to see what my older son, who read because he was the age when they came out, all the original books.
He'll probably say, it's really good.
I don't know.
Because there are some people, that there's going to be some retarded people who say that, like, it's really good. Just, like, blindly. Like, because they can't criticize anything because, consumerism.
Well, I don't know about consumerism.
It is.
I don't know.
It's like, but anyways, and there's this weird recurring thing that, like, the doppelgangers smell like watermelon Jolly Ranchers when they get destroyed. And it's like,
destroy one of the doppelgangers.
That was really weird.
Goo, and they said that's what it smells like.
That's really weird. I don't know why. Oh, God. Like, it's just getting worse and worse. Like, I thought...
Well, I thought it was good it was shorter.
Well, it was shorter, but it bastardized the story so badly that it was even worse.
It doesn't bastardize the story because it bears no resemblance to it.
Well, no, they tried a little bit in terms of, the Halloween party is kind of like the birthday party in the book, where, in the book, in the episode, he has to relive the birthday party again, and that's the first thing that happens, and then there's a girl at the party that he likes named Mona, and he gets embarrassed in front of her because of Tara. And so he tries to stop the embarrassing act from happening in the episode in the book, and it doesn't work. And so, that doesn't happen in this episode. Don't get to see that, because that would be too hard to adapt the book that you bought the rights for.
Well, what's really funny is the doppelgangers, because they are like doppelgangers, they're the worst side of him. So they just go around causing trouble and saying stupid stuff and burning bridges between him and other characters. So he had a quote date with this guy he liked at the party, and remember every time he went back, because he had to relive the moment, he memorized something the guy said about soccer, and he didn't know anything about it. But it's like Groundhog Day, which is what he did too. Which Marco reminded me.
Another thing that's funny, too, is that, like, this is supposed to be a small town and everything, and at one point, the girly boy says, like, it's really hard being one of 6 gay guys in town, and it's like, yeah, you know what else is hard? And, you know what else is really convenient? The fact that the guy that he has a crush on also just happens to be gay in this small town with hardly any people. Like, yeah, I think that's the more convenient part, and, pretty bizarre. Just not realistic at all.
But they have this date, and he was really late, maybe an hour, or maybe he didn't show up at all, and then he runs into him. He said, I was waiting for you, where were you? And he said, I don't care, I don't need to be with, he just said all this negative stuff, and so now he's burned that bridge. And then when he went up to Allison, Isaiah's girlfriend, and made up the story that Isaiah was with his neighbor all the time behind her back. I mean, he was just going around like being a little gremlin and doing bad things. So anyway, we both reviewed it. We both gave it an F, pretty much.
No, I gave it a fuck you, a double fuck you.
Okay, well, I just
That's
gave
different.
it an F.
That's different than an F.
I think they should be sued.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. If they're gonna
I think this show should be deleted, honestly. Like, delete it, delete all the files, delete its existence.
If they're gonna take the name of something, like, let's say they take the To Kill a Mockingbird or Gone with the Wind, are they gonna make a modern story like this that has nothing to do with the name? Would that be legal? I mean, I just don't see it.
People would call it subversive and clever, like you. You're like, yeah, it's really clever.
Well, I thought it was interesting that every time he did it, you'd think, well, he's just by himself and he's just learning. But then you end up having all these copies, and I think the copies were two kinds of outfits.
But I just proved to you that it wasn't clever, though. So
yeah, I know,
You know.
and that's because I didn't know about that. And I wonder if one of the writers saw that video game.
well, it would be a good idea to, if you made a Cuckoo Clock of Doom reboot or sequel, to take influence from other like time travel things, but not to just straight up copy. Like they copied Groundhog Day and everything, and copied everything else, and just made trash.
Yeah. So anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and tell us what you're thinking of these episodes. And do you agree with me that they taking the name of something and then making the story completely different? Not even one tiny semblance fit. Well, okay, they're at a party and there's a guy he likes, but just nothing else is the same, and it's just I don't know, it's just very bizarre to me. So anyway, bye everybody.
Bye.